One of the reasons that I'm here instead of someone else, I mean, you could have myriads of people in front of you, is I think I like dissecting people and asking questions that other people won't ask and being able to portray that information in a way that the majority, the masses can understand.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my skill sets in life, is taking something very complicated and making it simple. This particular podcast is going to do just that, where we're going to be talking about and going into sections of both your life and my life and finding out those massive, humongous transitional moments that at the time do not seem impactful or transitional, but will. And then everyone listening can and has the ability to replicate those moments, because it's all going to come down to a few small incremental shifts that you've made, tiny adjustments that you've made in your life and where you made them. This is the Broke to Woke podcast, where we're focusing on the mental shifts that each and every one of us need to make in order to go from broke to woke. We can always better our best and become the greatest versions of ourselves. Let's keep doing it. And the way you're going to keep doing it is by listening to this episode. My name is Jeremy Alexander Newsom. This is Britnie Turner. In this episode, we are talking about and discussing some of the early onset stages, beliefs, and idea shifts that both Britnie Turner and myself made when we were young in life, and how that took us from broke to woke. Thank you for being here.
Love it. I'm super excited about this. Jeremy, I have become a raging fan of you as a person.
Thank you.
I love to explain you as like, this is somebody you just want in your life. Replace all the turds you've got with a Jeremy Newsom, because he's amazing. And I want to know what in the world led you to become the man you are today, and what we like to call on this podcast as woke, which is being aware of what matters most in life, living your purpose and having this divine calling you walk out every day and having fun and the wealth to back it all up and support it.
Yeah. And I want to know the exact same thing about you. And that's what we're going to do through this whole podcast. So we're not only going to be uncovering secrets and information about ourselves, but also sharing it with all those who are listening, because we want each person to really be able to find out the things that we've done both wrong and right, and how you can replicate them. So I'm going to ask you a question, Britnie.
Tell me.
When did it all start?
Man.
Let's go back.
Let's go way back.
Where were you born? How much did you weigh?
Oh my gosh. I was born in North Augusta, South Carolina.
Okay.
8 pounds, like 6 ounces.
Wow, you're a huge kid.
It's a huge child.
Oh my gosh.
Huge. I wanted to come out with a bang, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm one of 6 kids.
Okay.
Grew up on a farm in South Carolina, middle of nowhere, and homeschooled until high school. Mom said, now that y'all got all these hormones, we got to kick you out of the house. Go let somebody else put you through school.
Right.
Wonderful childhood. Interesting beliefs around money. So we'll dive into that as we go through this. But I want to hear about you. Where are you originally from?
I was born in Canton, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And I grew up in Statesboro. That's the big city. I actually grew up in Cleto, Georgia. So Cleto is a place where cops don't even go.
Oh, man.
It's 30 minutes south of where they filmed Deliverance, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's out there. It's in the sticks.
Wow.
So I think we were both born in southern U.S., one of the original colonies.
Where's your accent?
I lost it.
Really?
Yeah, I had to lose my accent. I can turn it back on at any point in time.
You can turn it back on?
I can.
Yes. Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah. I went to community college, Santa Fe Community College in Gainesville. And I had a teacher. Her name was Dr. Kelly Flowers. She was a speech pathologist, I think. And it was a public speaking class. Anyway, she said she would fail me if I didn't lose my accent because she could not understand what I was saying.
No.
Yeah.
It was that thick?
It was thick. Mm-hmm. So I've practiced. This is 11 solid years of hard practice.
That's hilarious.
I also used to stutter a little bit. So
no way.
Being on camera and talking was absolutely terrifying and mortifying for me.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yep.
You have come a long way. We were just talking about that, how you are completely confident being in front of anybody and being on camera. And what was that shift? Was it going through that class?
No, that was not it. That was a big piece of it for sure. But this particular podcast is where I'm going to get a really good opportunity to kind of share a lot of my background that people don't know. Because you and I have talked a lot about it. But I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, man.
Yep. So I grew up in a cult.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, as part of being a witness, I mean, talking from my earliest memory on until I was 24 is when I left. So my earliest memory, I mean, I'm going up to people's doors, as you guys all know. That's what witnesses do, right? They knock on your door and they try to convert you into their beliefs. And so I'm talking from 5 years old. I would walk onto a stranger's house, knock on their door, and try to convert them into a whole new religion.
Did it work?
Sometimes.
What was your strike rate?
It was low. It was very low. But it helped me remove the fear. So kind of being pushed into that world of just going and throwing yourself to the wolves, so to speak.
Yeah.
Where you are literally knocking on someone's door and they don't know who you are, they don't know why you're there, and they already don't like your message. So try to convert that person or try to teach them something new. It's scary.
So that turned into being a huge gift for you in life, though.
It was a beautiful blessing. Beautiful blessing is growing up in that religion, because there's a lot of negatives and there's a lot of positives. And one of the big positives was I had to speak a lot. So you're doing stage, you read the Bible from stage. So building stage presence, talking to strangers all the time.
Wow.
Helps you develop some really specific skills. And that was probably, I think, one of the leading gifts that I had at the time when I was young, was being in that world, being in that environment, always talking to people, always asking questions, always being in front of people that didn't like me. So that fear of rejection was low from a very young age.
Well, it kind of had to be eliminated. So it was probably there, but then you just had to throw it out the window to keep going.
Yeah, it was. And it was very weird growing up, because my dad, he was a super creative gentleman, and my mom, they're both creative. So my name has 2 R's in it.
Right.
Jerry and me. Jeremy is how that happened.
Is that your dad?
That's my dad. Yep.
Oh,
my dad's name is Jerry, and my mom is me.
That is so funny.
True story, too.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was born 9 pounds, 8 ounces.
Oh, and you're making fun of my size.
I was a little fatter than you.
Wow.
And when that whole process happened, being born and growing up in Cleto, my dad came up with a brilliant idea to take single-wide trailers and jack them up and put them into trees.
Oh.
So I lived in like a Swiss Family Robinson single-wide tree house.
No way.
Until I was 12 years old.
Did he do it for other people?
No. He barely did it for us.
Why did y'all do that?
I don't know.
That's fun, though.
It was fun. At the time, I didn't know anything different. People would come all the time. I had friends come over to my house from school or from what's called the Kingdom Hall. I'll probably make mention of that a few times. That's our church.
Man.
They would come over, and they'd always want to hang out with us, because truly we had 5 different houses, and there was catwalks, the suspended bridges from house to house. And inside our kitchen was a tree. Like I had 3 trees in my main house.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that why you were so excited about the treehouse development you're going to work on with me?
Correct.
That is amazing.
That's one of the reasons.
How
kind of like
did you
full
not
circle.
tell me that story?
I was waiting till today.
I love it. That is the best story.
But it was exciting, because that's all I knew. And it was innovative. It was creative. It was done very non-professionally.
Right.
So my dad didn't have a builder's permit. He didn't know anything about contracting. He just knew how to nail wood together. And so whatever vision you're having in your head is not that vision. Subtract 100 times whatever you're envisioning and make it a little bit worse. And that's kind of how it was.
We need to find a picture of this immediately.
Yeah. I'm going to track. I've been trying to track one down. Long story short, my dad did have tons and tons of photos, but the shed that he had a lot of photos in burned down at some point.
No.
Yeah, so we've lost a lot of photos, but I'll try to track one down for the podcast.
This is turning into Tiger King real quick.
It was really wild. So I'm the baby of 6 as well.
No.
Yeah. So I have 2 sisters, 3 brothers. And we grew up very, very happy. I had a phenomenal childhood, just extremely financially poor for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Baby of 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the second oldest.
Mm-hmm.
There are 4 girls and 2 boys in my family. So it grew up really, really happy, on the farm. lots of work. And then we had a tornado hit our house in 1998. So I'm not afraid of anything, really. I couldn't point at something except for tornadoes. I hate tornadoes.
Yeah.
I can't stand those things.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so deadly. So
They are.
we spent the rest of what I can remember as my childhood cleaning up after that thing, because we had some land, and great childhood. You know, we weren't allowed to watch TV, so I did not grow up in a cult, but very, very sheltered
Sure.
Christian home.
Sure.
And I loved this thing that my parents did, though, is as sheltered as we were and we weren't allowed to watch TV, we could only watch it if we made it. So we grew up with cameras in our hand.
Wow.
And we would make all these different home videos.
Right.
And what I love, because I take this with me today, is which side of the screen are you going to live on?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be somebody watching life happen? Or are you going to be somebody doing life at the level that other people even want to watch?
Creating something interesting enough for other people to engage.
Yeah. Which I don't do my life for the reason of, being able to be watched. But I think to live a life so intentionally, to live a life so impactfully that it's worth watching, because we only have one chance.
Yeah.
And that hit me. I think the first time that hit me, I went to a baby's funeral and as a kid, and I was like, man, they didn't ever get a chance.
Wow.
They never got a real chance. And at 17, I went to a ministry school, and they made us write our eulogy. And that was one of the biggest shifts of my life. I cared about people, and I wanted to be a missionary since I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't live in a way that would make those things that I would want true at the end of my life true. And then when I wrote my eulogy, literally everything changed.
I love that. So we're going to talk about that in future episodes for those who are listening and watching, simply because one of the reasons that I'm here instead of someone else, you can have myriads of people in front of you, is I think I like dissecting people and asking questions that other people won't ask, and being able to portray that information in a way that the majority, the masses, can understand. Mm-hmm. That's one of my skill sets in life, is taking something very complicated and making it simple. This particular podcast is going to do just that, where we're going to be talking about and going into sections of both your life and my life and finding out those massive, humongous transitional moments that at the time do not seem impactful or transitional, but will. And then everyone listening can and has the ability to replicate those moments, because it's all going to come down to a few small incremental shifts that you've made, tiny adjustments that you've made in your life and where you made them. So bring me back again. Your very first memory about money, what was it?
Oh, man. No, we never had enough. The very first memory about money was, we never talked about it unless it was, we don't have enough. We're short this month. We're short this month. We're short this month. And I think one of my earliest memories is actually saying, we're short every month, Mom. What's wrong? Where seems to be the problem here? Because we can't afford, it was, I had a roof over my head.
Yep.
More blessed than so many different parts of the world. So it's not a lack of gratitude, but it was always a huge pain point. And my parents didn't talk to me about money. It's not like I was raised around it. They had a quadplex. That was our only real estate investment. And it was in a really rough area, and it was constantly trashed. So I was like, investing in real estate seems like a really bad idea. And that was one of my commitments to myself as a child, was to never own real estate.
Nice.
It was one of the worst things that we had.
Wow.
Just cleaning up this place. People would purposefully destroy this place. It was rough. But it was that we were always short. And I remember the stress that it would put on my parents. And I'd remember the stress it would put on, their relationship and us as kids. And I've been working 5 jobs since I was 13, and I was working as soon as I could walk around the house, around the farm and on our land, but wasn't necessarily paid for it. And then I would work at my dad's office. And so always working. We didn't have hardly any free time as kids. People sit around and watch movies and stuff. We were always working on stuff, especially after that tornado hit.
Right.
I remember promising myself, I really don't want this to be such a thing at all. And then when I started getting into making money and learning this whole world was 2007.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a little while of what it feels like for me to have absolute, life-crushing debt and what that was horrifically about. But it wasn't a great first memory. It was really negative. It was very private. It felt like there was a whole bunch of shame around the topic. And I don't like that. Right. I remember not liking that.
Right. And another reason, listeners, while we're here for this particular podcast is to do a lot of discussion about money. Because one of those 4 elements that we never talk about enough. And I want to go down these paths with you over the next few hours, months, weeks, years, however long you guys are going to be listening to this, hopefully forever. But the goal is to really explore and talk about our beliefs about money, our thoughts about money, and how it relates to everything. So the next episode, we're going to be diving into even more questions, more tactical and specific, detailed, pinpointed times of events of your life and my life where we can discuss and think about how those shifts and beliefs altered about money.
Thank you so much for listening in on Broke to Woke. We are so excited about this podcast. If you're interested in doing this for yourself, good news, there's more. And if you want to connect to us, go to GeForce Mastermind on Instagram or GeForceMastermind.com. You can even hang out with us, go on a trip with us. Our goal is to help you find your purpose, understand the little key differences so that you can be an even more powerful force for good in the world.